People of Reddit with so's. How? She posted on her Snapchat story a picture of her monitor for her PC rig. I complimented it and said I had the same one. Sent her a picture of mine. Got to talking about our rigs and I asked her out. Found out a couple months in that we don't even have the same monitor. Mine's a sus as is Acer. She pretended not to notice. I can hear her mumble ducking noob but sigh and ignore it because you look cute. I stayed at his dorm and didn't leave for 8 days. He finally figured out it was because of him after I told him to his face that I liked him. And he asked me out. That was 2 years ago. We've been married for 6 months now. Congrats to you. Sadly I couldn't do that or I'd be called a stalker. I think the most important part is just telling them how you feel. Not so much the staying over part. But yeah. Double standards suck. You just kinda pick a human and hope they pick you too. And then you keep picking them every day. Even on days you may not really want to. That's really sweet. Was a social awkward guy with no serious girl interaction ever. Decided to take a chance and started on a 1-year study in a small place where I didn't know anyone turns out. Nobody else knew anyone either so we just had to socialize. Found a girl within a week and 10 years later we now have 2 children and we are getting married next week. I also found a best friend there who will be my best man. Pro tip, if you feel stuck, change scenery completely and start over. Life is too short to waste on a situation you're not happy with. So short. This guy won't even take the time to type the last O. Blind luck. She walked into a bar I was running in 1989 looking for a job. I hired her and we've been together ever since. That is one hell of a promotion. Better love story than Twilight. We met at a student protest. The riot cops were charging. And we ran into a cafe to wait for things to die down a little. This sort of looked like a date to wait things out thing turned into an actual date. We kept doing interesting stuff together because it was so much fun to hang out. Like going to museums. Or shows. Or picnics. Or going dancing. And now we've been together for like 7 years. There have been tough moments. It's required work and effort. But it's been so worthwhile. Significant others? What do you mean how? How TF you get one? Well, first thing I have to say is don't look for one. That's when I find I always meet someone I click with. Learn to love yourself and your company. That kind of confidence in who you are is attractive between both success in my opinion. I didn't meet my BF until I love being my own company and love myself. You can't love someone if you don't love yourself. Also my sister set us up cause I have horrible taste in men. Asshole freeloading bad boys. Most of the time. They just sort of landed in my lap when I wasn't looking. What I take from this is I should just sit in the middle of a public area with my eyes closed. Got you. Am I right now? I went to a party by myself. Other people I knew were going but I made a point to go by myself so I wasn't tied to anyone. I intentionally chatted up strangers. I waited by the cake for a while and then hung out in the kitchen. Eventually an old acquaintance stopped by and introduced me to her new roommate. We hit it off immediately. I ended up staying out until 3 AM or so, which was unusual for me. She gave me her number and we had a date the next weekend. The rest is history. We were both in line for coffee. I said something. I don't remember what. Just to get her attention. When she was looking at me I just said hi. I'm Thedank Bank. She introduced herself. I asked if she wanted to sit with me while we drank our coffee. We chatted. I explained I was new to the area and didn't really know anyone or good stuff to do around here. She invited me to the weekend farmers market and gave me her number. I texted her the next day and asked if she wanted to get dinner. We did. That was our first proper date. Then we went to the farmers market with her friends. But we split off from them and made it a date thing. We hung out all day. And we decided we really like each other. Been dating ever since. My boyfriend and I met on Tinder. We planned a date and each time we took turns cancelling on one another. At one point I just gave him a call and said tonight's the night. He was a good sport about it and now we've been dating for about 9 months : he's such a kind soul. She had a BF when I met her at a friend's BBQ. We spent hours just chatting to her. Nothing happened. We shared the same views on politics and outlook on life. I added her the next morning on Facebook. She accepted in 10 minutes. We went for a drink. Again, nothing happened. I told her that I couldn't just be friends with her as I liked her too much. She broke up with him 3 days later. 3 years to the day that we met we got married. The 3 years we dated weren't wasted. We traveled. I cooked for her. We ate at fancy restaurants and made the dating bit of our relationship a defined memorable chapter of our life together. Believe it or not, I've noticed that confidence really does show. Ever since I've gotten a boyfriend I've gained so much self-confidence along with finding my own style and doing things that make me happy without regret. Since then I've been asked out multiple times by multiple guys in random places. It's so flattering and definitely a self-esteem boost, but I hate rejecting people because I know that feeling. More importantly, simply being happy with yourself is so important. If you're looking for somebody to complete or validate you, you're not ready for a relationship. Focus on yourself first. Once you're confident in yourself you'll see the light start pouring in. Of course, this is much easier said than done and is definitely a journey in itself. Follow rules 1 and 2. And don't be a big dick. I had a nice guy friend that refused to lower his standards as far as looks go. I'm not saying you should do that. But he became bitter and it probably ruined his shot with some really cool girls. Especially if they were pretty. Don't be that guy. You never know. A pretty girl might be into you if you're not behaving like he did. Okay. First off, the whole don't look for one and you'll find them is a lie. You gotta do something. That girl you thought was cute, start talking to her. That person you saw getting coffee, say something. You have to do something. The girls are the ones who don't need to look. As a guy you gotta be lucky for someone to make a move for you. And when they do you probably won't notice till years later. So you gotta shoot your shot. Like they say, throw enough shit at the wall and see what sticks. Some of my friends said I wanna be friends before I know if I like them and wanna ask them out. That's not the right way to look at it. You go on dates to see if you like them. You can't stop dating at any time. For any reason. You don't owe anyone anything. If you're not feeling it, you're not feeling it. It's not your fault. But a date's not gonna come out of thin air. You have to start it. Then you have a few dates and it goes well. You have more. You get more comfortable over time and next thing you know you've been together for 5 years and you got that so you thought you'd never find. Be nice. That's what most of us are looking for. Be thoughtful. It's not as much about gifts as it is about head rubs. And making their daily life easier. Listen. Many times my partner tells me what's bothering her. Without making it front page news. If I'm not paying attention when she's talking because of my phone. PS4. etc. I'll miss out. Forgive and forget. You aren't perfect. They aren't perfect. Unless we're talking about capital offenses. Recognize they more than likely wanted to hurt you in no way. Argue to understand and be understood. Not to win. It's a partnership. A team. Not a competition. You just kind of eat meals with them and cook for them and hope they find you cute enough even though they already made it clear that they do. And then later on you actually open up yourself to them and when they do the same you try not to judge them and ease them out of their shell and try to reassure them constantly, but also making it clear that while their insecurities are heard and valid, they can't keep on projecting it to you. So you just learn how to better people by keeping it healthy and you become better at handling each other. And then you eat more meals together. It's nice. You pay them. How much we talking? Your soul. Buddy. Don't be looking for one. Got mine from being frustrated about being stood up the second time that week. Went out drinking with some friends and planned to not even think about dates, relationships, hookups. Ended up meeting my so that night. I think you end up being a lot more confident and approachable when you don't actively try to act confident and approachable. For me, 17F, my boyfriend, 17, told my friend if she got him a date by Christmas, he'd buy her a whole cookie cake. The next day, she's like, hey, if you go on a date with this guy, I'll give you half a cookie cake. So I added him on Snapchat. We talked for a few days and went to the movies. I never ended up getting my half of the cookie cake, but he did buy one for my friend. We started officially dating at midnight Christmas morning and we've been together for 7 months now. Honestly, I'm not great at giving relationship advice, but just talking to people and exploring different possibilities and letting yourself open up and be a bit vulnerable with your feelings is probably a good first step. That and bribing people to set you up. Most people will do a lot of things for a cookie cake. Last so was a Tinder date. The last two before that I met at Reddit meetups of all places. This person is out here talking about 3, so should I just want one? Went to a wedding I didn't really want to attend but had nothing better to do. Saw the maid of honor. Thought that was cute. Got to talking. Turns out we both hate weddings. Crowds. People in general. Now we spend all our time avoiding real life together. It works. I drunkenly hooked up with my roommate 5-6 years ago and now we're going to become married roommates. Basically, my current boyfriend was on a camp with me at Scouts. We are both from GB and 13. We started to become friends very quick and at the point he told me he was gay, I said I was too. About an hour later I asked if he'd get with me. We have been together for about 12 weeks now. Chance will be the common denominator here. But the main thing is that you can't go looking for a relationship. You get one by not caring either way and focusing on making your own life exciting and meaningful, having some pursuits beyond yourself that make life worth living. Then lo and behold you find someone who wants to be part of that. An acquaintance was showing my wife around on her first day at our school. This acquaintance dragged her up to me and said, "This is Tao. He's cool." My wife said, "Are you cool?" with an irresistible grin. I said, "I dunno. But I'm definitely not hot." She laughed. January was our 25th anniversary. Miso and I just happened to find each other at a party 10 years ago. He's been my best friend ever since. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Meet people. When you find the right one it should just feel right. Has anyone ever told you something about yourself that you don't agree with? But they may be right? Something like, "You're too arrogant." Or "You're too judgmental." I don't have Insu and honestly man it seems impossible. Like I asked a girl out recently, right? Literally all the advice people have given in this sub I've used. People say be sweet. Be a gentleman. Make her laugh. Be confident. She turned me down. She even told me after she turned me down that I was sweet and I was a gentleman and all the stuff that people describe they want from somebody. I'm going to keep at it. But honestly, to give you answer, some things work, some things don't. Focus on the things that do, I guess. When my wife was a sophomore in high school she said I was gonna marry her. I called her crazy. 4 years later we got married. Ha. I sure showed her.